Okay, let's unpack this. If you work in any kind of organization today, especially, a large, complex one, you probably know the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You're just drowning in
Right.
information. Data's coming at you from every angle. You've got articles, reports, internal systems, buzzing, market intelligence.
Right.
It feels like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Right. Absolutely. It's overwhelming. How does any company, or heck, even any individual, manage this sheer volume? How do you find the actual signal in all that noise?
Exactly. And more than just managing it, how do you actually use it? Use it to make better decisions. How do businesses not just, survive this information flood, but actually turn it into some kind of strategic advantage?
Well, that's really the defining challenge, isn't it, for modern business? The ability to efficiently process all that information and then translate it into effective action.
Hmm.
That's what separates the organizations that are really thriving from the ones just struggling to keep up.
Yeah.
It demands a fundamental rethinking of how things work inside, the internal operations, right? The machinery that keeps the company running day to day.
Exactly. And that's precisely what this deep dive is all about today. We're going deep into digital transformation, but through a very specific lens. How it's actually playing out within global business services, or GBS.
Right, GBS, those essential, sometimes maybe overlooked functions like finance, HR, procurement, IT support, the stuff that's absolutely vital, the backbone, really.
Totally vital. And for our real-world example, we're focusing on a company I think most people know, or at least know the name of, but maybe don't fully appreciate the complexity behind it. Corning.
Ah, Corning. Yeah, they're a fascinating case study because, fundamentally they're rooted in physical stuff, right?
Right.
Material science, making things like specialized glass, ceramics.
Right, physical products.
Exactly. Yet they're grappling with the exact same profound digital transformation challenges as, say, companies built purely on software or services. Their journey really shows this isn't just a tech company problem.
No, not at all.
It's a business problem in this digital age we're in.
Absolutely. So to get a really comprehensive picture of how a company like Corning navigates this, we've pulled together quite a diverse stack of sources. We're starting with the official view, right? From Corning itself, their financial filings, the 10K and 10Q reports,
Yeah, those are gold mines.
aren't they? For understanding their strategy, their operational dependencies,
Yeah.
what they see as the key risks.
Exactly. Those regulatory filings give you the company's own perspective on what drives their business and, frankly, what keeps them up at night. But we also have industry analysis specifically looking at their shared services arm, CSS,
Okay.
which gives us an external, expert evaluation of their approach and how effective it's seen in the marketplace.
Right, so an outside view. And on top of that, we've got a case study. It's from another company, Pella Corporation, the window and door people,
Ah, Pella.
detailing their experience using a specific transformation technology platform, OneStream, which is relevant here. This gives us some really tangible, quantifiable examples of the impact these kinds of changes can have, like real numbers.
That's crucial, seeing the actual results. And finally, we're grounding all of this in the broader context, recent news, technology trends, particularly the accelerating role of artificial intelligence, AI.
Yeah, you can't avoid AI these days.
No, it's rapidly reshaping how businesses operate, just across the board.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive, it's ambitious, but it's focused. We're here to cut through the business jargon, move beyond the buzzwords like digital transformation and AI.
Get past the hype.
Exactly.
Wow.
And extract the most impactful, the most relevant insights from these sources. We really want to understand the fundamental why behind these transformations. What business problems are they actually trying to solve? And then what tangible changes are happening in processes, technology, data, operating models.
And critically connect this back to the value created. What's the actual return on this transformation investment? Is it purely about, cutting costs? Or is it enabling faster growth, maybe better decision-making, or even just a more resilient operation?
Yeah, and what does it mean for the people involved? The talent, right. The people who have to make it all happen, that's huge.
Absolutely central.
So consider this your curated shortcut. Your way to get truly well-informed on a topic that is fundamentally changing how businesses run. This isn't just theory. It's about the practical reality of transformation. So let's start by grounding ourselves in the company at the center of this, Corning.
Right. Corning. When you think of them, you might immediately picture maybe the tough glass on your smartphone, Gorilla Glass, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Or maybe the fiber optic cables delivering your high-speed internet. And, you'd be right. But that's only part of the story.
Okay.
Corning is a global technology company, and their heritage stretches back almost 200 years. It's incredible.
Wow, 2 centuries.
Yeah. Their whole identity is built on material science innovation, on making things possible that, frankly, were previously thought impossible, creating materials and capabilities that are genuinely vital to modern progress.
They really have changed the way we interact with the world, haven't they? Whether it's through screens or connectivity. And their portfolio, looking at their financial filings, it's pretty diverse. It really contributes to their overall sales mix. Looking at their 2024 segment net sales, optical communications was a big piece, made up about 32%. That's their fiber and cable business, right? Which is fundamental to the digital infrastructure of the world.
Absolutely fundamental. Then you've got display technologies. That's the glass for screens, TVs, monitors, laptops. Though, it's increasingly facing pressure from newer technologies like OLED, but it's still a substantial business. But the filings highlight a really crucial point here: concentration. 4 customers accounted for a remarkable 67% of sales in just that segment.
67% from 4 customers. Wow.
Yeah. That kind of dependency,
You have to-
something they have to manage very, very carefully.
Then there's environmental technologies, contributing about 12% of sales. This focuses on things like ceramic substrates, filters, often used in automotive emission control.
Right. And again, high customer concentration. 3 customers driving 71% of that segment's sales.
Okay. Life sciences, smaller at 7%. That's their lab equipment, consumables business. And again, 2 customers making up 42% of that segment. Seems to be a pattern here.
It really does. And then you get to specialty materials. Now, this segment is fascinating. It includes their well-known Gorilla Glass, for sure. But the filing also breaks out key customer concentration at the total company level. And for specialty materials, get this, 2 customers accounted for a massive 43% of total company net sales in 2024.
Wait, 43% of total revenue from just 2 customers in one segment?
Exactly. That's a huge portion of their overall revenue tied to just 2 relationships. It really underlines the strategic importance of this segment and, crucially, the need for robust, really responsive operations supporting those key partners.
Wow, yeah, that kind of focus demands exceptional operational alignment. They also have other areas, right, like Hemlock Semiconductor focusing on polysilicon for solar and electronics and other emerging growth businesses.
That's right. And across all these different segments, a really consistent theme is their technology leadership. It's heavily underpinned by intellectual property, by patents.
Right.
The 10K goes into detail about the importance of patent protection across their businesses. A prime example they cite is their proprietary fusion manufacturing process for display glass.
Ah, the fusion process.
Yeah, this isn't just, a production method. It's described as the cornerstone of their technology leadership in that industry. It's what allows them to make these incredibly large sheets of high-quality, ultra-thin glass, protecting that unique capability. Absolutely vital for them.
Makes sense. And this isn't just a U.S. company, is it? Their operations are truly global.
Oh, completely. They have manufacturing plants, R&D centers, sales offices, and those critical shared administrative service centers scattered literally across the world, often outside the United States.
And that global footprint, it inherently creates complexity, right? Relying on this vast interconnected supply chain.
It really does. And substantial portion of their revenue looking at 2024, it was about 60% came from outside the U.S.
60%.
Yeah, which means they are exposed to all the fluctuations of various foreign currencies. The Japanese yen, the South Korean won, the Chinese yuan, new Taiwan dollar, the euro, Mexican peso, you name it.
That's a lot to manage.
It is. And they address this in their financials by using constant currency reporting, which is helpful, right? It allows investors and analysts to see the underlying sales growth and operational performance kind of stripped out from the impact of just currency exchange rate movements. Gives you a clearer picture of the core business trend.
Okay, that makes sense. So they're managing this complex global manufacturing and sales operation across diverse segments, dealing with currency risks, significant customer concentrations, all built on this deep protected technology base. How are they doing financially? Looking at the recent numbers, the Q1 2025 report showed some positive momentum.
Yeah, it did. Net sales were up 16% year over year, which is pretty strong, and their gross margin improved as well.
Good signs.
And they have a positive outlook through 2026. They're specifically forecasting continued sales and profit growth across the company. They even state that the successful execution of their strategic framework is expected to create tremendous value for shareholders.
Okay, so growth ambitions are high.
Very. And that growth ambition is a critical piece of this puzzle, right? You can't achieve sustained growth at this kind of scale if your internal operations are, holding you back. Efficient, scalable, agile support functions. They're essential enablers of that external growth.
Which brings us really neatly to the inherent risks they face. The risks that make transformation not just a nice to have, but a strategic imperative. Their filings highlight several key risk factors relevant to operations and this whole transformation idea. Supply chain disruptions, for instance.
Yeah, that's a big one. They note reliance on single suppliers for some critical components and processes, and long lead times for others.
So if your internal systems aren't connected and flexible, a hiccup in that supply chain could quickly cascade, couldn't it, into major manufacturing or delivery problems.
Oh, absolutely. And critically, their deep dependency on IT systems. They list this as a significant risk for all aspects of their business, from manufacturing execution systems right through to financial reporting.
Everything runs on IT.
Everything. And alongside this is the vulnerability to cybersecurity threats and data breaches. The potential impact there is just huge.
If you think about IP loss.
Exactly. Loss of sensitive intellectual property, disruption to manufacturing operations, significant financial costs, reputational damage from a breach. Given their global scale and reliance on proprietary technology, this risk alone necessitates robust, transformed IT and data management. It's non-negotiable.
And they also list global economic and trade policy risks.
Right.
Operating in so many countries means they're exposed to things like import quotas, tariffs, trade disputes, geopolitical instability.
All of that volatility. Their internal processes need to be agile enough to adapt quickly to changing regulatory environments or unexpected market shifts.
Okay, so you have this highly innovative company, global footprint, diverse portfolio, ambitious growth plans, but facing real-world constraints and risks in their supply chain, their IT systems, international markets.
Right. This complexity, the need for resilience against these risks, it creates a powerful mandate, really, for operational transformation. The status quo, especially if it's rigid, is simply not sustainable for a company aiming for continued growth in such a volatile world.
That sets the stage beautifully. It's clear this transformation isn't some abstract IT project off in a corner. It's a fundamental response to the demands and pressures of their business environment. And the core pressure point, as the sources highlight, was addressing that rigidity and complexity within their existing operational model.
Exactly. As Corning pursued its strategic platforms and experienced that growth we just talked about,
Yeah.
there was, and this is a direct quote, a significant uptick in business process requirements.
More activity, more complexity.
Yeah, more business activity, more complex products, new markets, it all translates into increased demands on those support functions. Finance, HR, procurement, you name it.
And their legacy model for shared services, they call it Corning Shared Services, or CSS, even though it apparently originated from some early finance transformation efforts way back in the early 2000s. It had reached a point where it was described as too rigid and constrained.
Right. And this rigidity wasn't just a feeling. The source actually pinpoints its cause. It was, quote, dependent on headcount aligned to its standard service offerings and Corning's businesses.
Okay, dependent on headcount. What does that mean practically?
Well, think about it. A system where your capacity and your flexibility are tied directly to simply adding or removing people for specific predefined tasks. In a dynamic, growing business environment, that model very quickly becomes a bottleneck. You can't react fast enough.
Right, so the consequence was pretty predictable then. This structure limited CSS's ability to scale, flex, and deliver against those growing and changing demands.
Exactly. Imagine trying to quickly launch a new product line globally, but your finance processes just can't handle the volume or complexity without hiring dozens of new people and retraining them.
We're trying to adjust quickly to a supply chain shock when your procurement process is, I don't know, manual and paper-based.
Yeah. That rigidity hinders responsiveness, it hinders growth, it slows everything down.
And we see this challenge, this rigidity and complexity echoed in the broader sources on finance transformation too, right? Like the Pella case study.
Oh, definitely. That vividly illustrates the problems caused by a fragmented technology landscape, having, quote, fragmented enterprise performance management, EPM solutions.
EPM. So that's like budgeting, planning, reporting tools.
Exactly. Basically, multiple different systems for things like budgeting, planning, financial consolidation, reporting, and crucially, systems that don't talk to each other seamlessly. That fragmentation add risk, cost, and complexity to absolutely essential processes.
It sounds like trying to build a clear, accurate picture of your financial health, or maybe future forecasts, by pulling data from disconnected spreadsheets, old databases, maybe some new cloud systems.
It's a nightmare. The data doesn't match, the processes become incredibly manual, error-prone, and it's just incredibly time-consuming.
And the technology landscape itself can be a source of delay, can't it? The sources mention companies using older systems like SAP BPC for planning.
Right, which is mentioned in the OneStream context as going off support.
Okay, so if your core system is going off support, you're facing these massive, multi-year, multi-million-dollar migration projects just to move to newer platforms like SAP S/4HANA.
Exactly. And these huge projects can consume enormous resources and delay achieving the actual business transformation goals for years. It really underscores the point that technology transitions, ideally, should reduce complexity and enable agility, not just add more layers of difficulty and cost.
Yeah, that seems counterintuitive sometimes. And let's not overlook the human impact of all this complexity. The Pella example was really powerful here, dealing with disparate data and manual processes. It didn't just cause long processing time, which is bad enough.
Right, and credibility challenges for the finance team. Imagine constantly second-guessing your own numbers or having colleagues doubt them because they know the process is messy.
That must be demoralizing. But it also apparently contributed to high turnover rates.
That's a really, really important insight. When the fundamental tools and processes of your job make it incredibly difficult, frustrating, tedious, constantly reconciling conflicting data, manually copying information from one system to another, people leave. It's totally understandable.
So it's not just an inefficiency problem, it's a talent problem too.
Absolutely. The rigidity and complexity weren't just slowing down the business. They were actively driving valuable employees away.
Okay, so Corning's legacy CSS model, built on this headcount-dependent standard service structure, was facing increased demands from business growth. This rigidity, combined with these common enterprise challenges, fragmented systems, messy data leading to long processes, credibility issues, even employee turnover, it created this urgent need for a fundamental shift. They needed an engine that could handle complexity with flexibility and scale.
And that's precisely where Corning Shared Services, CSS, positioned itself to evolve. It moved from being perhaps purely a cost-focused shared service center to something more strategic, an innovative solutions and services provider.
Okay, a solutions provider.
Yeah. The source describes it as the behind-the-scenes engine vital to Corning's effective business operations. Now, building on its history, rooted in those early finance transformation efforts, that gave it a foundation, but it clearly needed a significant upgrade to meet the new challenges.
And their objective became pretty ambitious, right? To be the go-to partner for business process solutions across all functions within Corning, not just finance anymore.
Exactly. Expanding its scope, expanding its capability to address operational challenges wherever they might arise in the company.
So how did they do it? How did they achieve this broader mandate and overcome that past rigidity?
They completely transformed their operating model. They shifted to what's described as a hybrid operating model.
A hybrid model. Okay, what does that involve?
It strategically combines several approaches. So first, they leverage their own captive operations and centers of excellence, or COEs. These are their internal teams, specialized experts in certain areas.
Got it, internal teams.
Then they partner with outsourcing partnerships for certain services, leveraging external scale and maybe specific expertise they don't have in-house.
Okay, so some outsourcing.
And crucially, they built a digital platform. This is the technology layer tying it together.
Interesting. So it's like a mix and match approach, combining internal capability, external help, and technology.
That's a great way to put it. Think of it like a sophisticated orchestra, maybe. You've got your core musicians, the captive COEs, who are experts in their instruments, which are specific processes.
Right.
You bring in guest performers, the outsourcing partners for certain pieces or to handle specific loads where maybe you need more capacity.
Okay.
And coordinating it all, providing the sheet music, the timing, the cues, that's the conductor and the modern sound system, which is the digital platform. It integrates internal capability, external capacity, process design, and enabling technology to create a much more flexible and powerful overall performance.
I like that analogy. And what's driving this new performance?
The foundation is explicitly stated. Their approach is data and automation enabled.
Ah, data and automation. Key themes.
Absolutely. This is where the real power comes in. It's not just about moving processes around or adding people here and there. It's about using data to inform every decision and using automation to execute tasks efficiently, consistently, accurately. This is what moves them away from that old headcount-dependent model.
And has this approach actually delivered? What's the value they've seen?
Well, according to the sources, yes. Real, tangible value across the organization. They reportedly drove silo-busting value throughout Corning.
Silo busting.
Yeah.
That's a big deal in any large company.
Huge deal. Silos where different departments or business units operate independently, not sharing data or collaborating well, they're major impediments to efficiency, to coordinated strategy, even to a unified customer experience. Breaking those down means smoother cross-functional processes. Real value there.
Okay. What else?
It directly contributed to achieving a one Corning approach. That's a key strategic goal for many global corporations with diverse businesses trying to get everyone working towards common objectives, using standard processes where it makes sense, leveraging the company's overall scale. CSS helped enable that alignment through standardized, shared processes and platforms.
Makes sense. And improved productivity.
Yes, improved base business productivity. That's a classic benefit of operational efficiency, right? Getting more output from the same or maybe fewer inputs. Direct positive impact on the bottom line.
And resilience too, right? They mentioned navigating COVID.
Crucially, yes. Their new, more agile model allowed them to successfully navigate COVID challenges without disruption. Remember those risks we talked about? Supply chain shocks, global instability.
Yeah.
Having a flexible, maybe more remote capable and resilient operational engine in CSS meant that even during an unprecedented global event, core business processes didn't just grind to a halt. That's immense value in terms of business continuity and risk mitigation.
Absolutely huge. And they also mentioned experience.
Yeah, they enhanced its focus on customer and employee experience. This shows the value goes beyond just pure internal efficiency, doesn't it? Better internal processes often lead to better service for external customer.
And hopefully a less frustrating, more engaging work environment for employees too.
Exactly. Addressing that turnover issue we discussed earlier.
And this approach got some external validation too.
It did. The effectiveness of this one Corning approach in driving transformation was recognized externally. They earned recognition as a finalist in the HFS One Office Mindset category.
Okay, HFS One Office.
Yeah, so this isn't just, Corning's internal marketing claim. It's industry analysts highlighting their innovative approach to integrated end-to-end process transformation. It signals they're doing something right in the eyes of experts.
Okay, so summing up CSS. It's built on this strategic shift to a hybrid operating model, fundamentally data and automation enabled, designed to overcome past rigidity, and delivering measurable value, breaking down silos, boosting productivity, enhancing resilience, improving experiences.
That's a good summary.
Yeah.
And central to enabling that hybrid model, that data and automation-enabled approach, is the technology piece. As we noted, the CSS digital platform is a core component. This platform, quote, includes solutions, analytics, and reporting. It's the digital infrastructure that enables the integration, the automation, and that data-driven decision-making.
And we have to keep coming back to that point from the 10K and 10Q filings about Corning's absolute critical dependency on IT systems across all their operations.
Everywhere. Manufacturing lines, R&D labs, global sales networks, and yes, the shared services functions. Everything relies on technology functioning correctly, reliably, securely.
And the associated risks are just massive, aren't they? Cybersecurity vulnerabilities, data breaches.
They could be catastrophic. For a company like Corning, whose competitive advantage is built on proprietary technology and innovation, the risk of intellectual property loss from a cyber attack is just immense.
But it's not just IP, is it?
No. Disruptions to manufacturing systems or financial reporting from a cyber event could halt production entirely, delay revenue recognition, cause huge financial damage. Robust, secure IT is absolutely non-negotiable, both for the core business and for any transformation initiative layered on top.
Okay, now let's weave in those broader technological forces at play, particularly the accelerating impact of AI, which was clearly featured in the news sources we looked at.
Right. AI is moving incredibly fast, and it's impacting nearly every industry, every business function. We see examples popping up everywhere in finance, manufacturing optimization, enhancing data centers, improving security. It's becoming pervasive.
And the technology providers focus specifically on this GBS and finance space. They're rapidly embedding AI into their platforms, aren't they? The OneStream example seems perfect here.
It really is a perfect illustration. They haven't just, added AI as some kind of bolt-on feature. They seem to have integrated it quite deeply. They introduced things called Sensible AI Agents, Sensible AI Studio, and the most advanced Sensible AI Forecast.
Sensible AI. Yeah, okay.
And their stated goal, to automate finance's most demanding tasks.
Right, automating demanding tasks. That's a direct application of AI to drive process efficiency, isn't it?
Absolutely. AI can handle those repetitive, data-intensive tasks that used to consume countless hours for finance professionals. Things like anomaly detection in transaction data, automating reconciliations, maybe generating baseline forecasts.
Stuff that's necessary, but maybe not the highest value use of a person's time.
Exactly. And this isn't just about marginal improvements, shaving off a few minutes here and there. It's potentially about fundamentally changing how finance work gets done, freeing up human capacity for higher value activities, for analysis, for strategy.
And the impact of AI is also significant in areas directly relevant to Corning's core manufacturing business, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned SAP, NVIDIA partnering up.
Yeah, that partnership, highlighted in the news, is specifically focused on leveraging AI to accelerate AI capabilities in manufacturing.
Okay, what could that look like?
Well, imagine using AI for predictive maintenance on complex factory machinery to avoid unplanned downtime, or optimizing production schedules in real time based on demand and material availability, improving quality control through AI-powered visual inspection algorithms, even simulating complex manufacturing processes to find efficiencies before you build anything.
Wow. Those applications could directly impact efficiency, cost, and product quality for a company like Corning.
Absolutely, directly hitting the bottom line and potentially product differentiation.
So all of this technology, from the underlying digital platform in CSS to these advanced AI applications, it all underscores the absolute centrality of data, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The CSS model is explicitly data.enabled, but, and this is a huge but, technology, no matter how advanced, is pretty much useless without good data.
Garbage in, garbage out.
The classic GI-GO problem, the challenges highlighted in the Pella case study, those disparate data sources leading to credibility issues are incredibly common in large organizations. You simply can't do effective analytics, you can't build reliable reports, you certainly can't feed trustworthy data into AI models if the underlying data is fragmented, inconsistent, or just plain inaccurate.
So getting the data right is foundational.
Foundational. Achieving data integrity and quality is not just some technical task for the IT department. It's a fundamental business requirement for any successful transformation. Everything else depends on it. Analytics, reporting, core parts of the CSS digital platform, they are entirely dependent on trustworthy data.
Okay, so technology provides the tools and infrastructure. AI offers advanced capabilities like automation and predictive power. But it all rests on this bedrock of high-quality, reliable data. It's that combination that allows organizations to really move faster and operate smarter.
Which leads us directly into the heart of the transformation, how it actually changes the processes and the operating models to drive that speed and efficiency we've been talking about. And the Pella case study, again, gives us these incredibly specific, powerful examples of how this looks in practice, within a finance function specifically that adopted one of these unified platforms.
Right. These aren't just abstract concepts anymore. These are quantifiable results in core business processes. Pella tackled their financial close process, which was clearly a major pain point for them.
A huge pain point. And the results they reported are, frankly, stunning. They went from a financial close process that took 4 days down to generating the necessary reports in just 10 minutes.
4 days to 10 minutes.
10 minutes. That's a staggering 95% improvement in speed for a critical business process. Just imagine the impact of getting your key financial statements 95% faster. It accelerates everything that comes after it, analysis, decision-making.
That one statistic alone should make anyone involved in finance or operations just pause and think. 95%. And they saw similar dramatic improvements in profitability reporting too, right? That used to take them, what, 24 to 36 hours?
Yeah, a day to a day and a half just to compile it. And after the transformation, only 1 hour.
1 hour. That's a 90% increase in speed for getting crucial insights into where the company is actually making money.
This kind of speed is genuinely transformative. It moves finance from being, a historical reporting function telling you what happened days or weeks ago to being a near real-time strategic partner, providing insights almost as they happen.
And because they could get this data and analysis so much faster, it unlocked new capabilities for them, didn't it?
Absolutely. Pella can now perform detailed profitability analysis by specific material types, by different brands. They can drill down from a top-level brand view all the way down to the performance of an individual plant. They can set specific benchmarks and track performance against them in near real time.
That's fundamentally changing the role of finance, isn't it? Moving from just data collection and reporting to sophisticated business analysis and insight generation.
Completely. And this speed and depth of analysis directly enable faster and hopefully better business decisions. If you can understand profitability by product line or by plant in an hour instead of 36 hours, you can react much, much faster to market changes, to pricing pressures, to operational inefficiencies.
And it frees up the finance team, presumably.
Massively.
Yeah.
It frees up your finance team to spend their valuable time analyzing trends, providing insights, advising the business, rather than just wrestling with data and spreadsheets all day long.
The Accenture source we looked at provides some good guiding principles for achieving this kind of process transformation effectively, right?
Yeah, they had some great points. One key takeaway was the focus on delivering business value at speed.
At speed.
Right. In today's competitive environment, companies simply cannot afford to embark on these massive multi-year transformation projects with no tangible results until the very end. People lose faith, funding gets cut.
Yeah, the momentum dies.
Exactly. So they advocate for a more agile approach, breaking down the transformation into smaller, iterative releases, delivering quick wins, perhaps every quarter, maybe even monthly.
Okay, so build momentum.
Build momentum, demonstrate value early and often, get that buy-in from the organization. It's really about continuous improvement layered over time rather than one big bang that might fail.
And automation is obviously fundamental to achieving that speed and efficiency.
Absolutely fundamental. Accenture points out that automation isn't just one thing either. It's really a spectrum of technologies.
Right, not just robots taking over everything.
No, not at all. It ranges from relatively simple scripts and macros, things people might already use, to more advanced robotic process automation, or RPA.
RPA, yeah, heard that term.
Which basically mimics human interaction with systems to automate rule-based tasks. Then you have cognitive RPA, which adds a layer of AI to handle more complex, less structured tasks. You have virtual agents, chatbots, and then fully machine-based process execution where systems handle things end-to-end. The key is selecting the right automation tool, or combination of tools, for the specific process challenge you're trying to solve.
Okay. And thinking about the operating model again, that CSS hybrid model, that itself represents a fundamental evolution in how these services are delivered and managed, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Moving away from that static headcount-bound structure to one that leverages internal expertise, external partners, and a digital platform, that's a strategic shift designed specifically for greater flexibility, scalability, and resilience. It's about having the right resources and the right technology applied dynamically to the process needs as they change.
And an often overlooked goal, maybe, of process transformation should be simplification.
That's a great point. As one source wisely notes, technology should ultimately reduce complexity, not add more.
Right.
The fragmented systems Pella dealt with added complexity to their processes. A unified platform, combined with redesigned processes, should aim to simplify the landscape, making it easier to operate, easier to manage, easier to change in the future.
Okay, so transformation is really about fundamentally rethinking the how, redesigning processes, enabling them with the right blend of technology and data, adopting a more flexible operating model. And the goal is measurable improvements in speed, efficiency, capability, like those dramatic results we saw at Pella.
Exactly. Measurable results.
Which brings us squarely to value realization. Because, as you said, transformation isn't successful just because you implemented a new system or drew a new process map on a whiteboard.
Right. It's only successful if it delivers tangible value back to the business. And that value can be realized in different ways, right? Both on the bottom line through cost savings and efficiency, and potentially on the top line by enabling growth.
Okay, let's break that down. On the bottom line, the cost savings side, we saw that CSS improved base business productivity. That sounds like classic efficiency.
It is. Doing more work with the same resources or achieving the same outcomes with fewer resources, that directly reduces operating costs. And successfully navigating challenges like COVID without disruption, that also represents significant cost avoidance.
Cost avoidance. Good point. Preventing lost sales, avoiding emergency expenditures, maintaining operational efficiency when maybe competitors were struggling. That saves money you otherwise would have lost or spent.
Precisely. And the Pella example gives us those clear, quantifiable metrics again. A 95% faster financial close, 90% faster profitability reporting. That translates directly into massive time savings for the finance function.
That means cost savings.
Absolutely. If your team is spending dramatically less time on manual data collection and reporting, they can either handle a higher volume of work as the business grows, or potentially you can achieve the same output with a smaller team size over time. Significant cost savings in personnel.
And Pella also noted that the transformation helped address their high turnover rates.
Yeah.
That has a bottom line impact too, right?
Oh, definitely. The cost of recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and training replacements for employees who leave, especially those who leave due to frustration with inefficient processes, is substantial. Reducing turnover has a real positive impact on operational costs and maintains team stability and knowledge.
And better data quality.
Better data integrity and quality that reduces errors, which means less costly rework. It improves compliance, reducing the risk of fines or penalties. And it prevents bad decisions based on faulty data, which can have huge hidden costs. All contribute to cost reduction or avoidance.
Okay, so clear bottom line benefits.
Yeah.
But you said value isn't solely about cutting costs. How does successful transformation also drive potential for top line growth?
Well, think about CSS enhancing the customer experience. That was one of the reported benefits.
Right.
Smoother back-office operations can lead directly to faster order processing, more accurate invoicing, quicker resolution of customer inquiries, all things that improve customer satisfaction. And happier customers tend to stick around longer, buy more, maybe even recommend you. That leads to better retention, repeat business, potentially increased sales volumes. That's top-line impact.
Makes sense. And the improved analytical capabilities. Like Pella's ability to analyze profitability by material type, brand, plant.
That's a powerful engine for growth. If you know precisely where you're making money and maybe where you're not making money, you can optimize your pricing strategies. You can focus your sales efforts on the most profitable segments. You can refine your product mix, make smarter investment decisions about manufacturing capacity or new product development.
So it informs strategic decisions that drive revenue.
Exactly. It moves finance from just being a support function to being a proactive driver of revenue and margin expansion, acting as that true strategic business partner everyone talks about.
And just managing the global operations effectively dealing with supply chain complexity. Currency risks that protects revenue streams too, doesn't it?
It does. It ensures you can deliver to customers consistently, protecting the revenue you already have. And things like the government grants Corning receives for capital expansion, mentioned in the 10Q, those directly support investments in new capacity, new capabilities that can enable future top-line growth.
And for a tech company like Corning, protecting their IP.
Absolutely critical. Protecting their intellectual property, which was highlighted as a key risk, is paramount for maintaining their competitive edge and ensuring that future growth continues to stem from their unique innovation. Robust IT security and data management are essential for safeguarding those future revenue-generating assets.
Okay. So while the operational improvements in GBS and finance clearly deliver bottom-line efficiency, their impact is actually much broader. They provide the foundation, the data, the analytical power needed to inform strategy, enable resilience, and ultimately contribute to both cost management and the potential for top-line revenue and profit growth.
Exactly. It aligns perfectly with Corning's own statement that their strategy is expected to create tremendous value for shareholders. You need efficient internal operations as the engine for that external success.
Which brings us finally to the most dynamic and maybe the most important element of any transformation. The people.
Ah, yes, the human element.
Our sources are really crystal clear on this, aren't they? Technology and process alone are just not enough. Corning explicitly attributes the success of CSS to their people and the one-office mindset they have fostered.
That's a powerful statement. It highlights that human capability, the culture, the mindset, they're absolutely critical enablers. You can have the best tech in the world, but if people don't use it or don't use it effectively or resist the change,
It falls flat. And transformation, when it's implemented well, with the user in mind, can dramatically improve the employee experience, can't it? We saw this so vividly in the Pella example.
yeah, that was striking. The transformation led to better engagement for their finance team. By automating those tedious manual tasks, the wrestling with bad data, the slow processes, it freed them up to work on more engaging and exciting things.
It changes the nature of the work itself.
Completely. Think about the contrast. Instead of spending hours copying, pasting, reconciling, manually compiling reports, They are now doing higher-level analysis, providing strategic insights, acting as those true business partners. That fundamental shift makes the job more interesting, more valuable, and certainly less frustrating.
And that directly addresses those high turnover rates Pella was experiencing before. Making the work more strategic and less tedious isn't just about, employee happiness scores. It's a powerful tool for retention.
Absolutely. Keeping experienced talent saves significant costs and, maybe more importantly, maintains institutional knowledge within the team.
However, this shift also means the skills required are transforming too, right?
Definitely. The rise of automation and AI fundamentally changes the tasks that humans need to perform. The OneStream study specifically highlights a growing AI talent and skills gap in corporate finance.
An AI skills gap. So what kind of skills are needed now?
Well, as AI and automation handle more of the routine data entry, reconciliation, basic report compilation, the demand shifts. It shifts towards skills like data analysis, critical thinking, being able to interpret the outputs from AI models, understanding process design, and being able to use and manage these new technological tools effectively.
So moving up the value chain.
Exactly. The skill set moves up the value chain, requiring more cognitive, analytical, and strategic abilities rather than just transactional execution.
This really reinforces that Accenture point, doesn't it? That successful transformation programs must begin and end with the user in mind.
It really does. User adoption and user success are paramount. The goal isn't just to implement some new piece of tech, it's to make the work environment and the outcomes genuinely better for the people who are actually doing the work or consuming the services. If it makes their job harder or more confusing, it's failed.
So the overall landscape seems to demand talent that is just inherently adaptable.
Adaptable is the key word. People need to be comfortable learning and working with new technologies. They need to be willing to embrace processes that might look completely different from what they're used to, and capable of operating in a more data-driven analytical way. The focus for individuals really shifts from just executing routine tasks to analysis, problem solving, continuous improvement, innovation, and strategic collaboration.
Okay, so while technology provides the engine and process redesign maps out the route, it is ultimately the talent with the right mindset, the willingness to adapt, and the development of these new higher value skills that are at the absolute center of making transformation initiatives successful and sustainable. Their engagement, their evolution, that determines the true value realized in the end.
Couldn't agree more. It all comes back to the people.
Okay, this has been a truly extensive deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground on digital transformation, specifically within global business services, using Corning as our real-world example. Let's try and pull together the key threads one last time.
Sounds good.
We've seen how a global technology leader like Corning, despite its deep roots in material science, faces significant challenges. Challenges from operational rigidity, complexity driven by growth, and those global risks we talked about.
Right, and we explored how they're tackling this through a very deliberate transformation of their Corning Shared Services function, CSS.
Right.
Shifting to that hybrid operating model, really enabled by data and automation.
A model that strategically combines internal expertise, external partnerships, and that foundational digital platform.
Exactly. We saw how technology, from that core digital platform right through to emerging AI applications in areas like finance and manufacturing, is a critical enabler. But we also kept noting that this technological capability is absolutely reliant on high-quality data and, crucially, managing significant IT security risks.
Yeah, can't forget the risks. The tangible impact of this kind of transformation is evident, isn't it? In dramatically improved processes like those stunning speed increases in financial closing and reporting we saw in the Pella case study, and in a fundamental shift towards a more flexible, resilient operating model designed for speed and scale.
And critically, we highlighted throughout that the success of this transformation really hinges on the people. It's changing the nature of work, it's improving the employee experience when it's done well, but it's also demanding an evolution in skills to bridge those emerging talent gaps created by automation and AI.
And the value realized. It's
Yeah.
not just about cost savings, is it?
No, definitely not just cost savings. It's about enabling faster decisions, improving resilience, enhancing both customer and employee experience, and ultimately providing that foundational efficiency needed to support ambitious top-line growth strategies. It's a complex, interconnected picture involving technology, process, data, operating models, value, and always talent.
So what does all of this mean for you listening right now? Whether you're trying to navigate overwhelming information in your own role, maybe wrestling with inefficient processes in your team or your organization, or just thinking about how your own career needs to adapt to this changing landscape of work. The lessons from this deep dive into Corning's journey are incredibly relevant, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah.
How can you apply these principles? Can you identify areas in your own work or your organization where simplifying complexity is desperately needed, where leveraging data more effectively could make a real difference? How are you ensuring that transformation efforts, whether they're big or small, are genuinely focused on delivering tangible value?
And are you putting the user, whether that's your colleague, your customer, or even yourself, at the center of those changes, asking how it makes things better for them?
These are the right questions.
And maybe here's a final provocative thought to leave you with. As we see these powerful technologies like AI become more and more deeply embedded in critical business functions, automating tasks that were previously done entirely by humans and transforming not just the tools we use, but the very nature of knowledge work itself.
What new opportunities does this create for individuals specifically who are willing to learn, willing to adapt, and willing to proactively bridge that AI talent and skills gap we discussed? It's easy to focus on the challenges, the fear of displacement maybe, but what if you focused instead on positioning yourself to thrive? By gaining proficiency in interacting with these new systems, analyzing their outputs, managing them effectively?
How will your willingness and ability to understand, interact with, and leverage these powerful new tools shape your future role, your future value in this constantly evolving world of work? It's a question definitely worth mulling over long after this deep dive concludes.
Indeed it is. The transformation is absolutely ongoing, and the human element, coupled with those evolving skills, remains absolutely vital for navigating it successfully.